Hey everyone, this is my review of the All-American Sun Oven. This is probably one of the more popular sun ovens that you'll see, and you hear a lot of people talking about it because it is probably, I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing it has the market share in terms of people who buy it. And it's been around for a long time, and I've heard a lot of really good things about it, so I wanted to get mine for myself and try it out. So I got the full kit here. The base starts at $349, and then you can get the upgrade kit for around $399. Basically, the base kit gives you the oven here, and I believe this rack here, which goes inside, and maybe a pot or two. I'm not positive on the pot, but if you're going between the two, I feel like the $399 version comes with a lot of good extras that are nice to have, and they're pretty decent quality. Plus, you know that you're going to fit in the chamber of this oven, especially the pots. So between the two, I would recommend, if you can, going for the higher tier. This is the largest of all the solar ovens that we had. And I would say that this is the one with the most bells and whistles. It's kind of the Cadillac version of it. So I'm going to talk a lot about the different features that it has that you won't hear me talking about so much with the other one, just because this just has a lot going on. It is definitely, you can tell, has been perfected over a lot of iterations. You know, along with, you know, some of the other stoves too. But you can also tell that this one definitely has some thought going into it. But it isn't perfect, so we're going to get into both of those things here. So first off, the extra components that it comes with, you're going to get these three drying racks for dehydrating in here, which I actually really like these because they stack really nice. They're pretty sturdy when they stack, like they don't really move that much. Plus, they give you just enough room to put some thick kind of vegetables or fruits, but not so thick that you're wasting space. So I really like that. This is a they have a special name for it, but basically this goes inside, and when you adjust the angle, it keeps whatever your pot is level. So like if you were to turn it, it would just automatically level itself. You know, it's good when you need to have some like a more steep angle and you're doing like a soup or something. There's times where I just got annoyed with this and it would like fall off, so I just would pull it out and toss it to the side and just throw the pot in the bottom. So you know, it comes with it. It's nice to have, but it's also not perfect. So it comes with two bread baking things, which are fine. The pots here, they're stacking, and there's comes with lids. It also comes with a glass lid. I usually just stuck with the dark solid lid, but I did like the fact that they were stacking because I could do like chicken and rice, or chicken and side dish, or whatever the thing was, or like, you know, break up a chicken to two, or whatever I needed to do. So that's, oh, and then it comes with a Whoppy for water pasteurization and steaks for the support. I literally never use these, but you know, just to know that it does come in. If you were in a high wind area, I could see the use for this. So that's kind of the extras here. I'm going to clear this off and then we'll get right back. This oven is by far the largest of all the ones I tested. It's also by far the heaviest and what I find the most cumbersome. If you read the website, they one of the features they say it's only 23 pounds. And I mean, I'm a decently strong guy, and this thing, you know, it's definitely, you notice it when you're carrying it. They do have a good handle here on the front to help with that. One of the big things that I found when I was carrying, and this is probably one of my larger criticisms of this, is that when I was carrying it, very often I would scratch my leg on the support right there, that back corner. It just, I think it's like a piece of aluminum, but the corners and edges are sharp. And I would be carrying it like this, and you have to carry it, the reflector side out. So I would be, you know, carrying it like this, and that foot stand would scrape my legs, and I did that multiple times. It's, like I said, it's also not the lightest thing, and it's also pretty large. And this is the you know, all folded up. To unfold it, you got the snap, which is here, and then it opens like that. So you can kind of see right there. So that's the inside. Just kind of for the rest of this review, I'm going to close this up to like that. All right. So to load this in, you have these two tabs here that you are, when you close it up, you bring them up and you basically create the seal, which is really important. So you want that tight. I actually had to back those out a little bit because when I first got it, they were so tight I couldn't even get it on the glass. And even now, they're a little tough. But you pop those off, and then you have this handle here, and you can open the glass. It's important to note that you can leave the reflector in place and open the glass. That's very easy to do, but just for demonstration, I'm having it closed so you guys see a little bit better. So you got the main chamber in there. It's, you know, a decent size. You can definitely cook a whole chicken, like a big chicken. I think they even say a turkey, a small one at least. And this is where you put that leveling tray. There's two pins on the inside here. And you install like that so that when you angle at the sun, it levels. Probably can't see that, but you get the idea. So to set it up, it's pretty simple. You put the leveler in there, put your food in, you close your lid here, and then you lock it down with these little tabs, okay? And then you're gonna put the reflector out. And then on the back here, you have the extension leg. Basically this part here extends down so that you can increase this angle on the back side here. I'm not going to do that, but you get the idea. And what's nice about this is they have this little hole here, and you look at where that hole is underneath here, and it's hard to see on the camera, but there's a little black dot in there, and you basically get the little dot of light lined up with that black dot in there, and you know once it is lined up that you're perfectly aligned. And this is probably one of the better kind of aiming systems that I've seen out of all of them. In fact, most of them I felt like I was just doing a very good guess on aiming, but this I know for sure. And what's nice about it is I can come back in, let's say 30-45 minutes, and I'll see that the dot moved, and then I can quickly adjust it by just moving it around, tilting it until that dot is in the right spot. And it's very intuitive. So I think that was a smart move. That's part of the handle. Includes a thermometer inside, which is kind of fun to look at. But yeah, the reflector itself, it's big, it's attached, the good materials, very reflective. You know, all these are pretty on par with each other in terms of the reflector quality. So oven, you're not going to really see much difference. So that's kind of the main set of, you know, kind of things about this oven. Some things that I wish were different, okay? First off, you know, carrying it where it kept on like stabbing my leg. That's not fun. It has this wood bezel here, and I don't know what kind of wood it is, but I mean, they did a good job because like they lapped the joints, which is a nice touch. But honestly, I don't want wood. I understand that, you know, they probably did it to have a, you know, increased perceived value, and I'm sure that it comes at a cost, of course, to have wood. But honestly, I'd rather see this like a high density polyethylene HDPE or like some kind of roto-molded plastic or something, just because it's way more durable. And this kind of gets to the main downside of this oven for me, is that because it is so large and heavy, and I found that I would use it. It was great when I was using it, but I would just leave it there after I was done. You know, I would open up the glass, let it air out and dry out. But then I would close it. I just leave it where it was. And that was fine. But then it would rain, you know, and that was a problem because, well, most of the components on this are really good quality. Obviously the wood, you know, subjected to weathers basically. And I've noticed that there's some cupping and a little bit of warping on the wood. You know, it's not a structural piece, so I'm not particularly worried about it. But again, if it was that like a, you know, a high density plastic, I wouldn't have to worry about it, and it would be bomb proof. Then the other thing this is what I think probably my largest criticism of it was, you know, this is definitely a premium product. It comes in at $399. It is kind of the name brand, the biggest brand, I think. So, you know, they can charge a little bit more. But at $399, there's just a few little things that I wish were different. So the screws right here, and then the screws there, actually rust. And that's because I, you know, left it out in the rain because it was too heavy. And I know what the manufacturers are going to say is like, well, it's not really designed to be left out in the rain. You shouldn't be doing that. That's all well and good. But in practical, real world life, right? You get busy, you forget it. It sits out there for a couple days. Oh, it rains, you know. It shouldn't be a big deal. And the thing is, this could be solved very easily with some stainless steel screws, which 4 screws cost a couple cents a piece, you know, as an upgrade. And at $399, I just kind of expect everything to be that quality. Whereas they just use kind of standard and you get some rusting. So I think that was my biggest kind of pet peeve. I've even like thought about replacing these screws, like going out, you know, pulling one of these out, figuring out the thread size, and then replacing it with some stainless steel ones. I may still do that because I think it would be pretty simple and literally cost me like a quarter to do. And the other thing that I don't like is you can kind of see how I lay it back, the reflector like this. You know, there's many times that you just find yourself doing this, and I found that this is actually bowing right here. Like it's pulling apart, or not pulling apart, it's like torquing it. So the metal is actually bending permanently. It isn't just like flexing, it's bent. Just from it sitting like that. And it's not like I put weight on this or I hit it real hard. It's just from the natural weight, you can kind of see it's bouncing like that. When I'm trying to get into the glass or clean it or whatever, it's pulling away from there and bending. So I'd like to see a better attachment point and approach there. It's a piano hinge, which you know, is aluminum, I believe. You know, so there's no rusting there, which is nice. But there's 4 screws. Maybe putting 3 more screws would help with that. In fact, I bet that would help. And then it's mounted on this wood block here, which works perfectly fine. It's very sturdy. Again, I'd like to see it be that like high density plastic instead. Over the wood, it'd just be so much more durable. So those are kind of the big issues I have, right? Like, and they're pretty small. Let's just be honest. But at $399, you know, this is not a cheap oven. It is hitting that premium kind of point, and there's just these little things that I think could be improved. Let's see, what other things? So I think that's about it. You know, there's no case per se. It all snaps in, and this holds very well when you're carrying it. So it is carryable, but at 23 pounds, and since it's big, you kind of have to hold it away from your body a little bit, and then you're trying not to get scratched. Yeah, it's just like a little bit awkward. So like I said, I found myself leaving this outside pretty much like all the time, and I know that's probably not the intended like use case by the manufacturer, but it's the practical one, right? Whereas the other stoves, you know, like the Sun Flare here, you know, like the Sun Flare, like I'll pack this up. You know, this is light, you know, compared to this. I mean, this is about the size of that reflector. Now, this thing will cook like nobody's business, much faster than the Sun Flare, but you know, it's definitely not as portable as some of them. In my testings, this was, after the Go Sun Sport, the most, you know, the quickest cooker, basically. So it could cook things very quickly. It got up to temperature very quickly. This performed almost as good as the Go Sun Sport. The Go Sun Sport had a slight advantage in terms of, I think it was like maybe an extra 5 minutes ahead of me cooking. Like I did green beans once, I did potatoes, I did baked potatoes, I did chicken. So this cooked almost as fast, but usually the Go Sun Sport would kind of cook, you know, maybe 5 to 10 minutes faster depending on the food. But you know, this definitely held its own with the distinct advantage of the volume. You know, you can fit so much into this cooking chamber. It's a very large cooking chamber. So like if you have a family, this is definitely one for you to look at. The Go Sun Sport, you know, 1 or 2 people is really all you're going to practically cook. I kind of see this as like a workhorse for a family or a group. So you know, it has its place for sure, and I think that of the options, you know, it certainly has a lot of the bells and whistles. It definitely performs very well. And you can cook those larger meats like roasts and turkeys and chickens, which for me was a big thing because I wanted a way to roast chickens, and then also I wanted to have baked potatoes. Those were the two kind of like main like wants for me when I got a solar oven, because I live off the grid, and I don't have an oven to actually bake potatoes or roast a turkey or a chicken in. So that was kind of a major want for me, and this oven, you know, definitely met that need very well. You know, of all the stoves here in the ovens, I have the most experience with this one because I bought it a year and a half prior to, about a year prior to all the other stoves and ovens, because you know, I heard a lot of good things about this. I wanted to make you know, I wanted to have chicken and potatoes and other baked goods and things like that, and this was, it seemed like the option. And I think for those types of things, this is probably a go-to option for most people, especially families. All right, so this has been my review of the All-American Sun Oven. Thanks for watching. This has been Ryan Mitchell with thetinelab.com.